Sunday again, and of course today is the law day, and wanted to talk about something that people might confuse with a tasty treat. It's called a tort. Torts are not tasty treats in law. Torts are something very different. They can be very good if you win in a tort case. But a tort is simply a wrongdoing, and it's a civil action. So what exactly does that mean? In the legal world, there are two different types of actions, especially here in the United States. I can't speak for anybody in Canada or in the UK, so sorry for my Canadian and British colleagues, but I can speak for the US. The US has two types of actions that I can, well, simply two types of actions, criminal and civil. So criminal, you do something bad, you steal something from somebody, you're arrested, you're charged, tried, what? Don't look at me. Sentenced and sent to prison. And then you get out and you can do it again. Really doesn't seem like you're going to do too well after that. Oh, I just went to jail for a year. Okay, I'll go steal more stuff because I'm only out of it for a year. I apologize because apparently I've picked up more of an audience than I thought I had to begin with, but that's okay. In a civil action, you steal something from somebody. That person realizes that something is gone and knows who you are and where you live and decides, gee, I really want that back. I'm going to sue you. Yeah, it's a little bit different. So now you've been sued. So you can either get the money for the damaged goods, or the stolen goods, damages for the stolen goods, or you can sue to get that stolen property back. That's called replevin. It's a cause of action, a common law cause of action, meaning like judges wrote it a long, long time ago. Some of that's been codified into state law in the US, but not very much of it. So the big difference in that example I showed you is when you steal something and you're charged as a criminal, you are put away in jail. You're incarcerated. Your rights are taken away by due process of law. But in a civil action, you get to keep those rights. I mean, you still get to vote. You still get to go to work. You still get to, I don't know, do pretty much everything you want. But you have to deal with a civil lawsuit, which means you probably have to pay lots of money if you lose. And there's no civil action that is more lucrative than tort, especially nowadays in the U.S. in the modern legal system with the birth of products liability and negligence. Products liability is actually a form of negligence, but negligence basically means that if you're the one being sued for negligence, that you had some duty to another person that you failed to perform, and that person suffered an injury because of that, and your negligence was the cause of that injury. So with products liability, it's basically the product is the cause of the injury, a defective product in some nature. Remember that whole thing with McDonald's and the hot coffee spilling on someone's lap? That was a products liability case due to failure to warn. I mean, I would have thought just, come on, jerk, hot coffee is hot. Hi. But no, apparently that's not how it worked, and the person actually won a lot of money out of that case. That's civil law for you. And funny enough, that's why you have to ask for extra hot anything at Starbucks now, because the water was actually like 190 degrees, and that's far too hot, and there was failure to warn, and that's why the case was won. But in a nutshell, that's what a tort is. It's a wrongdoing. The theft example was the criminal action was theft. Plain and simple. You steal something from somebody by subterfuge, without the use of force. Theft. You steal something from somebody, they notice, they sue you for the value of the property that you stole or to get their property back. That's called conversion. So there's two different ways of going about it. I think criminal law can be punitive if you think about it in a way of being retributive and how it takes away the freedom of an offender for a limited period of time, depending upon the crime, of course, and different states have different ways of applying it. I think civil law can be equally punitive. Civil law and tort law, especially tort, is to make sure that people don't do bad things to each other because you got to pay a lot of money. You hit them in the wallet where it hurts the most. That can be equally as punitive. In fact, one of the types of damages for a tort case is punitive damages. So it can really work either way, and it just sort of depends on what avenue you want to pursue. I remember when I talked about the Zimmerman trial a couple weeks ago. Now, Trayvon Martin's family is probably going to bring a survival action on his behalf since he's not around. to sue for any pain and suffering that he had up until the time of death. So that could be something like, battery. Yeah, battery being the intentional, a voluntary act and an intent to cause harmful or offensive contact. That's a tort. That's civil. Zimmerman could get sued for that. But I'll stop that horse before I ever get back on it, because then I'd be here all night. And anyway, that's what I've got for this week. So leave any questions or other comments you may have down there, and I'll get back to them this week. And I'll see you guys next Sunday.